wanted Miss America.
I've seen some guys that are pretty weird.
Miss Utah got one big role, and guess what? Miss America happened to be from Utah that year.
Oh, you're kidding.
You can't imagine how many big roles she got at the University of Utah. And her acting, I thought, was atrocious. You couldn't even understand what she was saying. She would stride around the stage and...
Well, she was speaking in Mormon-esque. Mormon-esque is not very easy. Unless you're one, you don't get it, you know. I mean, what was that again? And what did they say?
Well, she didn't seem to understand Shakespeare, but you know, in Utah, and maybe a lot of places, you don't worry about understanding Shakespeare because by the time the language and the actors who act it get through, nobody understands what anybody's saying. Once in a while you can catch a few words passing by, but so my theory is this is why Mormons have always loved Shakespeare and they leave the Shakespeare people alone, even if they're gay. Because they think of Shakespeare as the height of culture, but they can't understand anything they're saying, so they can get offended. And so, I mean, if it was in plain language in a play, then they'd get really offended. They would have to ban it. They would have to stomp it out. But Shakespeare, you know, nobody understands it. So they've got burgeoning Shakespeare festivals in Utah. One in southern Utah, and then this was at the University of Utah. It was a big Shakespeare, and he was getting actors like Orson Welles to come and do Shakespeare. And you know, if somebody wanted to do a big role of Shakespeare, he could get them to come to the University of Utah and do it. So he was a pretty intimidating guy. And for me, and I had made up my mind, I finally made up my mind that at the University of Utah, the Center of Higher Learning, I was going to have to surface some of these thoughts, some of my experiences that I hadn't been able to about being molested by my dad's partner, sex. Now this was kind of new in the annals of molestation, is to be molested by a guy that your dad was having an affair with.
And how old were you at the time?
5, that one. And then 10, at 10 there was another one that fought with my dad and hated him and once partied with him and had lots of fun with him, and you know, it's like you enter into their world of passion, revenge, hate, just like, you know, you have in the heterosexual world. And so here I was at the University of Utah, so I wrote a paper in my sophomore year for this professor to read. And in it I was talking about being covered with sores. The students were covered with sores, meaning me. And everybody just ignored them, just acted like they were perfectly normal. How much stronger could you say? I'm covered with sores here.
Did you get STD or what?
No, it was the psychic sores of having to keep all this stuff to myself.
Oh, thank God.
That's the worst kind.
Stay a little farther
away. You can't get it out. You can't get it out.
If you have some STDs,
but it just begins to create sores. It begins to, you know, get to you. And guess what? The professor read it, and he called me in, and he said, he was implying, this paper was not in it was not in the format that I asked for. So I can't give you a grade. And I said, that's all right. Don't worry about it. So I takes the grade, I takes the paper like, give me an F in the class. Go ahead.
Did you
took
the paper, did you takes the paper?
I takes it. I took it. Just like, okay. See, folks, for you.
This is what I have to put up with on 9 o'clock in the morning.
So how much more could this brilliant Shakespearean director ignore what I was saying, refuse to talk about it, go around it? I mean, I just said I was covered with sores, but you see, people live in such fear when they've got 2 or 3 lives going on. He had a life with his wife and family, from what I could see, and then he had a life on the road. He went on the road more than any head of the department. And I think that,
You remember there was a funny comedian who said, you know, if you're bisexual, it doubles your chance for a date on Saturday night.
bisexuals are extremely busy.
Doubles your
If they're married, because
chance
they're
for a
expected
date
to
on
do all the things
Saturday
that
night.
married people do. And see, he directed
Woody
me in a
Allen
couple
said
of plays, and then I also did tech and acted in a part where he cast his wife. In a big part, a part that I would like to have had, I tried out for it, of course didn't get it. But his wife, I thought just completely bombed in that part. And it was a wonderful part, it's the Mad Woman of Chaillot. But
Mad Woman?
the Mad Woman.
I would think you could slide right into that part
walked through the part. She walked through the part.
You could have walked through that part.
No joy, no
You wouldn't
fun,
even had to look at the
no
script.
laughter. And he just left her strictly alone. He didn't even direct her. All she did is memorize her lines and do them. And I thought, oh my God, this poor woman, she's, I don't know. You know, so I thought,
she's walking through a marriage, you know.
Well, yeah,
I was involved with one of those walking through a marriage
she's
things.
walking the walking dead, you know. She's been rejected
Been there,
in her
done
own marriage, but she has to continue on to the world, his wife, because
Been there, done that.
and there wasn't a breath of scandal around him. You know, he was married, a good Mormon, and so this put me in a terrible quandary again.
Why do you think he used to travel out of state so much?
Well, he would travel on the road, right in the state, but his friendships he had a special friendship going with, I remember, an actor called Victor Gerry, who was about his age. You could probably gay, but I just couldn't get over
Is this the guy that was in Hollywood
the
movies?
way he operated at the University of Utah.
This the guy in Hollywood
with
movies?
I thought a double life, and I thought, oh, this is just. I mean, so here I am at the University of Utah. I'm trying to surface.
Wrap it up.
I'm trying to surface what I'm thinking.
You know, there was a Hollywood
So-
movie actor called Victor Gerry.
That was him. That's his best friend.
The guy wasn't very good looking, but you know, I don't know. I don't go.
I know. Well, I saw him there. He came there at least once in a play. But here I am making up my mind. Somewhere or another, I've got to get through to this. I've got to surface some of this stuff because what would happen when I left? I mean, I wouldn't be on this giant stage, Shakespeare, theater directors, you know, I needed to surface it at the University of Utah some way. And he was rejecting what I wrote. How was I going to get through to him?
Yeah, I know.
Dilemma.
I know. I've heard that Richard Burton went to Utah to learn how to be a great Shakespearean actor.